Wednesday, the 22nd of October. I keep on wanting to say September. First item on the agenda is apologies. There's 3 apologies, so if we take them one at a time, it's Alan, Rob and Maureen. So first of all, Alan, who's got long-standing prior commitment. Can I have a proposal?
John, second.
In favour? Thank you. Rob, long-standing prior commitment.
John.
All in favour? And Maureen, ill health. So, opposed, John. Adam, all in favour? Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? Good?
No.
No. You've all read and digested and read the minutes. All happy with them? In which case, can I have a proposal and second?
Proposed by John.
I'll second that.
All in favour? 2 abstentions. There should be Joyce and Leanne. Could be right here. Councillors' questions? Oh, not yet. Right, Councillor.
No notified.
Councillor's question, apparently there's none notified. So item 5, members' reports.
I was going to just report I've attended the Oakham and Bloom meeting on Monday evening, but when I get on to my promotions working group section, I can probably go into more detail on it, if that makes sense. It does make sense, doesn't it? So I went to the Oakham and Bloom, but yeah, there's some things where what they said there had a slight impact on my agenda item.
Okay.
So I was going to mention it there in more detail, but I did attend the Oakham and Bloom on Monday.
Fine, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Clerk's report, Richard.
Everybody's got a copy of this in front of them. So just to sort of catch up on a few things. The Willow Crescent play area, funding agreement from REN is in the process of being prepared. Once it is received, instructions can be given to Compound to start the works. Members should know that Compound require approximately 5 to 6 weeks before they arrive on site, and once there they anticipate the works to last 3 weeks. Okay, so that's the situation there. The next one, main grant application from REN for the skate park. Obviously the skate park has been discussed a little bit later. You are all aware that I was due to meet a representative from REN last Friday to discuss this. However, this did not happen. The meeting has been rescheduled for tomorrow, 23rd of October. Fencing around Cuts Close. We've had a quote to repaint and repair the fencing around the park. This is for just over £3,000. Obviously this will have to be discussed further at a future meeting. Church Street entrance to Old School and Cuts Close. I met with the Conservation Officer today to discuss what would be acceptable in terms of materials to improve this entrance. Now his advice was that a resin-based gravel or alternatively grasscrete, which is the used on car parks, they would be the 2 options that should be considered, and he would also look into the issue of whether planning permission would be required. We had a quote to install the Tegular blocks. Now these are the blocks that are used in Jail Street and Dean Street, and the quote was for just under £3,160. However, the Conservation Officer felt that using this sort of search would not be suitable. Okay, so obviously we'll look further into that and see at a future meeting and perhaps get some quotes on that. A reminder that the remembrance concert, I should say, is taking place on Saturday. Saturday, November the 8th at All Saints Church with the Rutland Concert Band and the Rutland Choral Society. The event starts at 7:30. Admittance is free, but a retiring collection will be held in aid of the Royal British Legal Property Appeal. Just to update you on the two sort of lease issues, well, there's really nothing to report. Land off Barleythorpe Road, repeated requests from the council solicitor. A lease for this land has still not been received. And car park adjacent to Brookhill Academy, as reported to you, instructions were given to the council solicitor. She's still waiting for a response from the Woodland Trust. Local Strategic Partnership Environmental Questionnaire. Now, this was copied out to members on Tuesday the 21st of October. If there are any comments that you wish to see included, then please contact me as soon as possible. If you require hard copies, then also let me know and you can have a hard copy. This only came through yesterday. So, if you want to see that, then please, a hard copy, then please let me know and run those off for you. The next one. Just for information really, this is Rutland County Council places scrutiny panel. Now, a meeting this is due to take place next Thursday, the 30th of October. One of the items on there, on the agenda, concerns the possibility of some Section 106 monies being made available for town or parish council projects in the form of grants. And this would be for small-scale projects. Now, this is a draft at the moment, but if approved, the grant scheme could be in place by November the 10th of 2014. Again, if anybody wants to see hard copies of that, then please let me know and we can later have those so you've got a rough idea of what they will be discussing next Thursday or put in the intended meeting. Chair?
Thank you very much, Chris.
Chairman, can I just ask the clerk, I presume there's a 2-minute silence on the 11th?
Yes.
I believe
We haven't
so.
heard.
Yes,
We have heard.
Yes.
Right. Thanks.
And the service is on the 9th.
Yeah.
Yes. Number 7, declarations from the public. Mr. Brooks, I gather you want to. Three minutes, please.
Yes, it's going to be tried to condense it's very difficult to be within 3 minutes when there's so much information on one of the things I wanted to talk about, so I'm just going to be brief. The first one's on the lease for the fitness centre. I hope that the council bear in mind that these tenants were basically set up in business by this council. A quarter of the precept was spent during Mr. Lowe's term. I'm not blaming him because he made comments to the effect in the meetings of, my goodness, is it costing this much money? But a quarter, now yeah, that's a significant sum of money, was spent putting these people in business. They now want to go to another subsidised area of Rutland, not in Oakham. Now, what concerns me is that another chairman said publicly it's profitable. I sat on this council when Stephen Reed valued that property in an appalling state, and he valued a rent of £12,000 a year. These people have been paying £7,000 throughout the period of the lease if they stayed. That would mean that the council would not recoup the money spent on the property. So I hope that, if obviously you can't stop them leaving, but this council does not give any discretion to them and make sure that they pay this council every penny that is due from the lease, because the taxpayer has funded them to the hilt. It included the fence recently, you know, when the clerk turned around and said, basically, somebody from this table said, who's responsible for it? They had a lease, they were responsible for it, but the clerk turned around and said they will be responsible once the taxpayers paid for it. They've had handout after handout, and it's unacceptable to think that the council spent a quarter of the income on that property. And I'd ask the council, as they did back then, knowing that the gym has a spare room, which the council forgot to tell them they couldn't sublet, which they advertised to the equivalent of their rent, maybe the council should consider giving up this place and moving there themselves. You pay a market rent for here, which is absolutely extortionate. You know, it would be much better suited within the community there. Anyway, if I'm allowed, I'd like to go on to the working group, and there's an important issue which I'd like to highlight. I couldn't quite see how the flag raising was to do with the promotion of Oakham. There is an issue there because etiquette permits on other councils that if a significant person unfortunately passes on, the flag is lowered at half-mast if that person is serving. Now, it's been made aware to me that when I've asked questions who it's been lowered for, it's been very selective. Somebody died last year who served on this council and the flag wasn't lowered for them. So there needs to be a protocol, but I don't think that it's anything to do with promotion of Oakham. The other matter is the fact that Wrinkle Rock constantly appears and takes the largest part of the budget. The Mayor pointed them out to a member of the public, and yes, I know there are people who are very enthusiastic about Wrinkle Rock, I don't dislike them, but year after year this committee was set up to bring something new, and it hasn't brought anything new. In fact, they've given the largest proportion of the budget to Wrinkle Rock. And they don't like me saying it, but Wrinkle Rock is put on for the old guard. That is the pure and simple truth of it. Nobody knows them. That money could be much better used sourcing other local groups. And then young people might then young people might be interested and attend. You know, it's geared specifically for, I'm not ageist or anything, because actually I quite enjoy them myself. But I think if you have a committee that was commissioned to bring about change, they have failed. And the last thing, if I can mention, I find it, well, quite shameful and also a disgrace that Mr. Howard, who cannot attend full council meetings since the 28th of May, but is permitted to attend working groups spending public money. You know, they've already proposing another party, or fun day, as it's described. When the Mayor told him after the Jubilee, I'll just be very quick, because this is important, the funding of that fun day is a backdoor, I don't know if that's the appropriate way, of getting that party, when it's actually, I don't know if it'll be minuted, but after the Jubilee party, which was also a very extravagant event, but important, he was told it will not happen again. And basically through that committee, it's been permitted to go ahead. And I think the council need to look at it, and they need to look at who, because you see, although you could have members of the public on working groups, you need to look at his situation. Yes, I'm going to finish. I just say you need to look at his situation on that committee. If he can't be bothered to represent the people of his ward, but feels he can come and sit and have a nice chat, how can I spend money on my doggy Olympics, my doggy this and that, it's just not acceptable.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, I mustn't go on because that's going to be an awful video for people to watch.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Okay, thank you for allowing me a little extra time, I'm sure you did.
Right. Right, promotions group. Adam.
Yep, I'll head this off. There's this blue paper is a very busy paper. There's a lot of information on there. But the good news is there's not a lot of it that we have to talk about tonight. There's some of there which is what we spoke about. And I thought it was important that the rest of the council and people knew what was going on in the promotions working group. Okay? What I'll do is I'll highlight the areas which I think the council should be aware of. Item 1 is where we've looked at band concerts. It's already been identified to me that appear to be running less band concerts, specifically only 5. Next year, we've been approached by the Rutland Concert Band about another Proms in the Park, so that is an extra event that occurs in the park. There's a local, the Lions organisation have approached about running a community day because it's their 40th anniversary next year, so it's going to be busy again. And also the festival are looking at having a weekend or an event as well. So next year we might be looking like we're stepping back, but it doesn't mean it will be any less of a busy year. So that's one of the reasons why it doesn't, look as if we're doing as much. Taking on the point of what Mr. Brooks has mentioned, we tend to respond to what the majority of the public who attend the concert say. People like Wrinkle Rock, so we tend to sort of try and give people what they want. And at the end of the day, end of the season fun things seem to be a success this year, and we feel that if we can try and get this up and running, it is a relatively newish product. So I know it's not the newest idea, but it's certainly a newish.
What was the cost for that fund day?
It's mentioned later on.
Yeah.
It was less than £1,500, I'll say. It was probably less than 1,000, I believe. The other thing is that if I draw your attention to section 2, it's discussions where we think that Oakham Town Council should have a presence in 2015, and we've highlighted the Rutland County Show, Rutland Day as two significant things, and as normal late night shopping. Okay, so and I've mentioned those and the concerts predominantly because we need to make sure we bring into line our own group to get the budget sorted so that the budget people plan for next year. So when it comes to making decisions, we're going to go to the third page, which has got the I, or the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got loads of proposals on what the council should agree. And this, if they agree on all of those items there, it will then enable us to say that the promotions working group next year will need a budget of £4,800. I'd neglected to take into account that we give £1,000 to late night shopping, so we'd be looking for that total budget for next year to be £5,800 if the council agree on everything on those lists there. The thing which I said about Oakham in Bloom is that item 9 there says the council to agree to reintroduce the best dressed window, blah blah. Well, when I was at the Oakham in Bloom meeting, they've got a new fundraising coordinator person, and she almost spookily has sort of come along and said, "Oh, why doesn't the town, Oakham in Bloom, have a best dressed window?" And it's like, I know that Councillor Lucas has been brilliant at promoting and pushing this and brought this to the table a few years ago. We even have a shield in place to do this. And I believe that Oakham Town Council should embrace Oakham in Bloom to take on the remit of doing the legwork, if you like, because they know what they have in their mindset. And the idea would be that if they do it, they'd be raising funds from it because they'd be charging the retailers. They've already spoken to some of the retailers and they seem quite enthusiastic. And some of that money would then go back into the town to the people that provide the tree. I know we donated some money to the tree, but they were looking at trying to enhance the Christmas decorations. So that was one idea that this lady at Oakham in Bloom came up with. And the other thing she came up with is the selling of Christmas baubles to go on the tree. And this idea is that people apparently in the past have criticised the tree. So she sort of said, "I've heard about this, I'm new to Oakham, why don't we sell baubles? They do this in other towns. People buy a bauble for £5, they have their name on it, it actually goes into a bit of a drawer as well so they can get a prize of it. But their bauble goes on the tree. It enhances the tree, it's community engagement, it helps raise funds, and some of those funds would go back to getting a bigger and better tree next year. So it actually would take some of the pressure off Oakham Town Council because we of course gave a couple £100 to the Rotary. Initially, I said it sounded like a brilliant idea, and unless anybody's in too much objection, then I think it could be another good route. So I can conclude by saying that if the council have read this, or the councillors have read this blue document and agree with those suggested budgets and spendings from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, then if they agree on all of that, then it just means that our budget is £4,800 plus £1,000 for late night shopping. I'm open to questions. If there are any questions though, I may exercise my right to come back and reply later. It's just because I might be prepared. One thing that we said at the last meeting, by the way, we are looking hopefully to get another member onto the working group because we do want to have another fresh set of eyes and ears and maybe even them out. But one of the reasons we did all that information there is that any comments or questions you ask me tonight, when we have
A fortnight ago, that we need anyone to belong on to the promotion. We've got to have a lot more input from a lot more people.
Yep.
And the other thing I have done, all right, it's a mock-up and it's very, we are in a sort, although it says there was no comment, am I right?
Yeah, so no comment, but you've gone away and looked at
The leaflet, and rather than have this big thing that actually advertises the whole of the county, if you look at it, I've just cut it down. This is not a finished product at all, but Philip Dawson, who actually designed it for us, is doing the exhibition, right? And he said, oh, now that's a good idea. I can, if you give it to me, I can start from scratch and redo something with it. So I've got to leave this under the TV outside. And it won't be, it'll be the shiny paper again, to distinguish it from this. Because this is very much out of date, and this is done by Discover Upland. Because there isn't going to be a two-week festival this year, and open studios and all that sort of thing. There's a whole heap of stuff there that is out of date, and of course they're promoting the post office. And it does say the Buttercross was restored in recent years and is situated opposite the Buttercross. So this is already out of date. So what I want to do is to make sure that that will never go out of date. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
Does anybody want to see this? Because it really is very much out of date.
Any other? Alf?
Yeah, I've got a number of points and questions rather than shoot.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
I mean, the group is designed really to promote Oakham.
Yes.
So I'm a little concerned that we've not improved on the band concerts. We have 5 band concerts plus the concert band, which I think is the same as we had this year. I would have hoped that we'd be, because of the support that the band concerts get, that we'd be increasing that. And I'm also concerned that we seem to have the same old people performing. I know they're quite good, but we ought to have some more innovation and get a few different ones in.
And that's why I want some more people on.
I can respond to that actually. Yeah, what it is, in actual fact, we've identified the date, so in actual fact, there is a degree of flexibility that if other councils feel that some of these people are outdated, then we can bring, if they come to the forefront, the main thing is that we have potential budgets in place. So the change of a band concert name is not too much of an issue. The Mississippi Jazzmen was one which got cried off, I believe, wasn't it, Richard?
They didn't cry off.
No, they couldn't, no, because the weather got rained off.
Yeah, they were desperately wanted to come back.
No, good point, so but that is, can be flexible.
Okay. I'm not suggesting you take any of those out, what I'm suggesting is that you bring some of those in. And I mean, they're all very well attended now, and it's people in the town are looking forward to the band concerts.
Yeah,
and something you ought to be promoting.
September. Some of the best weather we had this year was in September.
Usually, yeah.
Can I, sorry, just interject with Alf on the weather. Please can we do it as we've always done it before, but not this year for some reason, to negotiate with All Saints Church that if the weather is wet, that we can use the church. Can I have that minuted, please?
Before you go on out, can I just mention that the August bank holiday, the concerts finished the week before the August bank holiday. I think that ought to be considered as well.
Okay.
Sorry, Alf.
Okay. The council's promotion on the late night shopping and bringing it back into here, I think you've got to have an attraction.
Yes.
And that is the problem, because last year you were right in the middle, right in the area where the main throughput was, which I reckon last year was about 3,000 people going past. If you bring it back in here, people won't know you're in here. And there's more likely not to be many people coming in. So you've got to have some attraction, you've got to be able to attract people in. It's not only just providing a glass of sherry in the mince pie, it's something more than that, which you've got to be thinking about.
We'll have Adam dressed up as a Royal War.
That'll put them off. That'll put them off.
I don't disagree with what Alpha said, but the
No.
thing is that the one thing that seems to be lacking when we have these stands outside there with 3,000 people flooding by is a lack of councillors to man it. So,
Yeah, I'm not going
It's the same with band concerts, you need to be able to get some volunteers beforehand.
yeah,
Other thing is, you talk about freedom of entry, suggesting the council bestow a freedom of entry on a person. Can't be done. It's for a military organisation. You can't have one person marching up the high street with bands playing, flags flying, bayonets fixed. It is an award for a just a minute, let me finish. It is an award for a military organisation, not for an individual person.
well, that's one of the reasons we put
No,
these things in.
it's not freedom of entry, it's a freeman of the town.
All right. Well, obviously there's a typo.
It's a typo.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I'm concerned about the banner "Love Your Market." If you're trying to improve the market, you need more than just to put a banner up. You may recall about 18 months ago the farmers market in Jail Street, which happens once a month on the third Saturday of the month, was running at about 10 to 12 stalls. At that time, I was chairman of the Oakham Town Partnership, and I asked Rob Guthrie to look after it and deal with it. If you went down last Saturday, you would see there was 24 stalls.
Yes.
It's bulging at the seams, and that's not just by putting banners up. You need to do a bit more than put a banner up. And it's really hard work, and Rob's worked very hard on that, and it's showing some good things now. But also, Oakham Town Partnership is looking to extend it. I mean, we just don't have enough room. People want to come now because the word is getting around that it's a successful market. People want to come, and that will always get more people in.
So you put it in the marketplace on a Wednesday and a Saturday.
I was just coming to that. Now, the marketplace is obviously comes under the law of the man and his agent who lives somewhere on the south coast. And I went to have a look on last Saturday, and I think there was about 10 stores. Most of the spaces that weren't stores were taken up by vans and cars. So they filled the space, but they didn't actually have any stores there. On the Wednesday, the stores went round to in front of the old post office, not the post office, the old post office, and I think there was about 5 up there. But they are struggling, and they need help, and I'm not sure who actually organises it or runs it, but they really do need some help there. And I'd suggest to you that it's more than a banner. That's what I'm trying to say there.
Okay.
I think I've covered most of the stuff now. Just a minute.
You've only 3 minutes.
Sorry. I would suggest, I noticed in the later budget, that you're looking to reduce the budget of this school. I would suggest you need to increase it, not reduce it. If you're trying to improve the town and to get people to come into it, you can't retract, you can't withdraw.
I find that I'm going to stand here and say I'm really disappointed in that comment, because last year when the promotions working group came forward and said they wanted this money, this council said no. This council fought it back and it struggled to get the money that it got last year, and now you're turning around saying that. So I am very disappointed with that.
All I'm saying, if you struggled last year, why give it back again now?
Well,
I would suggest
they didn't spend it last year for a start, and that's what's going to get the councillors to support.
That is another point. If you didn't spend it last year, why not? If it's there and it's ready for promotion of Oakham, then promote Oakham. And that's all.
Are you suggesting a figure, Alf? I'm sorry, I'm
No,
missing half the
I'm not
conversation.
suggesting a figure. What I'm suggesting is that there is £1,200 to be taken out of the budget for summer concerts.
No, that's wrong. Last year they asked for X amount of money for the fun day, which they asked for £3,000 and spent less than £1,000. Is that correct, Richard?
Okay.
Yes, it is. I mean,
So in actual fact, part of the reduction is that there was an overestimation on the funding. So, and I don't believe in wasting money, public money at the end of the
No,
day.
but I mean, you've not really spent the money on some concerts this year, and that's the problem as well.
if I could just say something there, Alf. Last year, the band concerts were not under the remit of the promotions working group.
No, they weren't.
I organised band concerts last year. It was the budgeted figure was £4,000. We put 7 concerts in. If all of them had happened, the total figure would have been 2,200. Now, the Mississippi Jazzmen, although the contract said they were within their rights to charges, didn't. The actual bill the total bill for concerts this year has been £1,900. So for seven, if they all had played, it would have been 2,200.
Yeah.
So,
It's not about spending money.
so what Adam is suggesting is 2,500, but the concerts are now coming under the remit of the promotions working group. The item that you're coming on to next, the budget, I wasn't aware of that.
Well, we're not so much, it's not so much coming under our remit, but we're suggesting the dates and what should be done. I mean, the officers still ring up and book it and organise it, so it's a joint thing within the council.
What I'm saying is this should not be a time to actually look at withdrawing that. If you've got that, then you should be spending it and spending it wisely. And to spend it wisely should be promoted in town, and that's what needs doing.
Do you want
Jane.
to go, Jane?
Joyce, I'm chairing this meeting.
Yeah.
We have, I think,
Thank you, Chairman.
I think we've had a really positive year this year in terms of promoting Oakham, and the concerts were we were blessed with weather, let's be honest, so that always draws a crowd, but you can't book that, can you? I know when I spoke to the Mississippi band, because they couldn't come on because it was waterlogged, they were really disappointed, so I think we should definitely keep them included in for next year, because they really wanted to come back and be part of that. I think, and all that happened last year did happen on a relatively low budget. We did a fantastic job on a low budget, didn't we? So, I mean, I think this amount, which comes to 5,800 total, would you say?
Yeah.
I mean...
It's realistic.
Yeah, it's absolutely realistic, and we can probably do quite a lot with that. I mean, I'd probably just say, round it up to 6,000, so you've got a decent pocket, a little bit of buffer zone. Can I just ask about the Uppingham in Bloom window dressing? Is that's around Christmas window dressing? It's not around the flower dressing in the summer?
Uppingham.
Did I say Uppingham?
Yeah.
Terribly sorry. Fraudulent, isn't it?
You're 6 miles in.
I know.
It's round window. It's a round window dressing. Yeah.
For Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the plan is that on the late night shopping night, the suggestion was that whoever gets the award, it will be decided by the mayor, chairman of Oakham in Bloom, and then the shield that we have. Is that the shield? Have you got the shield?
Well, there is a shield.
That's the shield there. The shield we presented on the late night shopping night, and then OTC will get it engraved. So add another 25 quid on that.
Yeah, I think that's...
Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. It's okay saying we put more concerts in. Who's going to host them? It's okay saying we'll have put another £2,000 in the promotion committee. And Adam and I are running that at the moment, and this is not fair on two people. If we've got the money, people have just got to step up and give a bit of help. I'm sorry. You can't run a band concert and not expect. Jane was at every one. You can't expect people to give up every Sunday. We've all got to take a turn. Thank you. I think I've made my point.
Thank you, Joyce. Can I just say one thing, please? Can I have councillors please put their hands up so that I can see them? I'm getting things like this. I can't make out who wants to speak. So could you identify?
It's okay.
And then if I see you, I'll mark the time.
Yeah, Jane was...
I tend to look this side. Alf.
Thank you. Was that right?
I do appreciate it.
As part of organising the band concerts, you need to organise the volunteers who are going to be there. So that needs to be done early. And members have got to be able to plug in for at least one of the courses, at least one. And that would not be an unexpected sort of approach. And I don't see it as a problem.
If there's nothing further, I was going to take the lead and propose that the council accept the expenditure that we've expressed in items 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 10. Which is a budget of £4,800.
As proposed, so we've got
Sorry, £5,800. I know that Councillor Councillor Woodcock, young Jane suggested rounding up to £6,000, but
well, you can always set
£6,000 should see it done. And that gives the financial committee to work on something.
Can I just ask a question to the clerk? We've got in later in the budget this reduction of £1,200. How does that affect this money which is being proposed now?
Well, quite simply, what will happen is, because the band concerts are now going to come under the promotion working group, with a budget, depending on what members agree on, whether 6,000 or 5,800, that basically makes that redundant now.
So we're taking the £1,200 out then?
Well, I mean, on the original budget figure, the figure for summer band concerts was 2,800, okay, which you've got there, but that is now going to go under the promotion Oakham working group, so that is basically coming off of that heading. So if you think last year, the two budgets, promotion of Oakham working group and summer concerts, came to 11,000 off. The budget for the band concerts was 4,000 last year. Promotion working group was 7,370. So that's £11,370. So virtually you're halving the figure.
That's not bad. And we're not really
Do it for that.
Anyway,
Joyce.
Chairman, what about, where does the finance for this come?
reprinted leaflets.
For the leaflet clerk?
That's already part of the budget that that was approved for this financial year.
We have got money,
Yes,
otherwise I'm wasting my time.
You have a sum of £1,500 for a redesign and reprint of the Oakham leaflet.
Yeah.
Sorry to come back again. Can I suggest that rather than just go ahead on your own and print that leaflet, you ought to work with everybody who's produced the leaflets?
It's all right, we've already done it.
Because there's so many different leaflets about Oakham and Rutland, you need to get together and combine them into one, or to combine them into something which is more substantial. And just going off and just producing your own is not the answer to this, I would suggest.
So, hopefully my promotion still stands, Chairman.
Yeah.
Chairman, can I just come back on the leaflet? The leaflet is entirely different to the Discover Rutland or Oakham leaflet and the leaflet Heritage Trail. I've been in touch with the people who actually did the original, and that was Brian Waits and Richard Adams and Philip Dawson, and we're going to have a meeting to try and sort out something. This is only a mock-up, just to try and sort out something that is appropriate for Oakham and promotion of Oakham. Thank you.
We've had a proposal, it's been seconded, so now going to call for a vote. Jane.
I second it.
What, £6,000? Or was it 5,000? £6,000.
All in favour? Can I just say one thing, that I think that it would be appropriate to have on the agenda for the next council meeting, that we need to add one member, if not more, to the promotions group.
Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Got to put it on the agenda for the next full council that we need an additional member of the promotions group.
More than one.
I was just about to say that ideally more than one, because it's quite big workload.
It is. Thank you.
Right, item 9, the budget. Anybody want to speak about it? Adam, Richard. It's catching.
It's catching on.
Yeah. Yes, please, Richard.
Okay, I mean, the budget that you've got is basically one that went in front of the council a couple of weeks ago, so there hasn't been any changes to it. So really, well, there has now. Just going down it, sort of the explanations of it, increase to try and improve the Christmas decorations next year. Promotion of Oakham Working Group has now got a figure of 6,000 in it. Okay. Advertising, we've reduced the figure because there's no point in having money in the budget when it's not being spent. Okay, so Rob and I estimate that the figure will be £1,500 this year, and that includes the advertising for the band concerts. Okay, so there's no point in overestimating the money. Things like tree surgery and additional maintenance, we're keeping at the same figure. They are always pretty well spent. Now the summer concerts, what has just been agreed, that figure is coming off totally, because that is now within the promotion working group budget. Okay? Does everybody understand that? Yeah. Okay, the skate park, you're talking about that at the moment, there is a provisional figure of 2,500. Now, one of the proposals that you've been talking about on item 11 is, again, that figure will probably disappear to zero, because one of the recommendations is, one of the proposals is that a sum is earmarked out of the existing reserves. Okay? Street and pale furniture, again, thinking about that, perhaps putting a little bit more aside to the project to install 6 benches in Oakham Castle, and that was agreed last year. Okay, I know one member is saying, isn't that part of the heritage bid? It wasn't. This was something that was agreed last year, and was something that the town council could, for want of a better word, hang its collective hat on with 6 new benches in the castle grounds. So, do you want to increase that a little bit so that you're gradually building up the fund? You've got £1,800 in there already. We think that by the time this comes to fruition in 2016, 2017, you'll be up around 4.5, 5, we think. And obviously play equipment, that budget is going to be well overspent this year. Members are aware of that, so do you want to increase that? And all it is at the moment is that just to sort of, we will put this in front of you, we'll redraft it, put it in front of you for the meeting in November. Okay, so you've then got full figures, and you will then be making a recommendation to the council. Okay, so really at the moment it's just note the changes.
Joyce?
Can I just ask the clerk about street and park furniture? Is that the rolling programme to enhance the town of some of these awful seats that we've got? Because we had originally a rolling programme, and that doesn't seem to be happening these days.
Well, to be honest, I'm not aware of that.
No.
I've never been aware of a rolling programme.
I have been telling this council for ages that the one outside the CAB could do with an upgrade. And there's 2 more at the top of the town. I have been saying that for ages, for many years.
Get a cushion.
But having said
Miss
that,
Brooks, please.
I just really do think, and they don't need to be as expensive as the ones that are in the park and at the back of the library. Just need a bit of tarting up.
Thank you, Joyce. Alf?
I mean, if that's what councillor Lucas wants, make a proposal to that effect, rather than just make a statement about it.
I propose.
I mean, it's the only way to do it, and then you put money in the budget, rather than just state that it needs doing, put a proposal.
Right. Okay, Joyce, would you like to...
I propose that we continue with the rolling programme and at least enhance the centre of the town with at least 1 replacement seat each year for the next, however many years, to get it up to standard.
But you've heard the proposal, is there a second?
I just have a question. I'm not sure how many seats we're talking about. What is the cost of those seats? I mean, it's not just putting something in to do a rolling programme. We've got to have some sort of plan on how we're going to do this.
Jane?
Would it not be better to do an audit of the seats that we have and see which ones are in a state of needing upgrading, so that we can then have a plan of how we're going to do it over the next year, 2 years, or however many seats require replacing. But at the moment, I mean, with all due respect, I've not heard the rolling programme system before. I'm not saying it's not a good idea, because I think if you've got a rolling programme, you keep ahead of yourself. But I think in the first instance, we should do a review of what we've got and what needs repairing.
Joyce?
Can I just make a proposal then, that we reinstate the rolling programme for the seats in the centre of town?
No, we can't do that at this meeting now.
Sure, we can't reinstate something which we've never had.
We have.
Well, nobody seems to remember it, that's all I'm going to say. What is a rolling
I
programme?
think we need a new plan. I think we need to get this, it doesn't seem to exist, which is what I'm hearing. So I think James got the best idea, which encompasses what you're looking for, and I think that's going to be the way forward. There's no harm in somebody investigating, maybe 2 people investigating the state of the benches, the seats in town council. I think it's a good idea to do that, actually, because I don't suppose anybody here knows exactly what the state is. So,
Indeed, how many we have?
yeah. So do you want to make a proposal then, Jane?
Can do. Is that?
We can just sort of go and, I mean, obviously, one of the best people to talk to about this is the person who paints them every year, which is Jeff Gray. So,
He must have permanent.
yeah, well, he does, because he builds them every year. So we can talk to Jeff and say which are the ones that need are in poor repair. Okay, and then we can take it forward and say yes. This year we will replace these ones. Next year we will replace these ones, and there's your rolling programme. But as Stan said, until we know what the state is, we can't.
Right.
I agree with everything that's been said around the table. I believe when I first of all joined the council back in, well, I don't believe it or know it, I did join the council back in 2010, that there did seem to be that every few months we were having some of the old benches, certainly in cuts close, were being taken out and we were putting in new ones. So I do recall that happening. So I tend to sort of fall on Joyce's side there. I know what she means by that. I believe it's important that we do get them assessed, so I totally agree with what James said, but we need to leap on that quite quickly then, because it's important that we get an idea of how many seats need to be changed, so we can build the budget into this year, ready to bring out new seats next year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if we don't need a proposal on that, and it's just going to be done, then I think we should then crack on.
Are we all happy with that? But I want to bring this to an end because we're going round and round in circles about it. It seems to me that we've got the ideal solution, and that is that there's going to be a report on the benches, and that covers it.
Yeah.
Are we happy with that? All right, Richard?
Yeah.
So we wait for the report from that particular person. Right, thank you. Moving on. Item 10, fitness centre. Does anybody want to start off on this? I have to say I've got my own views on this, but I won't start off with those views. I'll take any members want to speak about it.
I believe that body fitness should be held to the terms of their lease. They signed it in good faith. They understood what it was when they signed it. They decided to move. They're not being pushed out. There's no reason for them to leave other than they want a bigger premises. I believe they should be held to the terms.
Yes, I entirely agree.
I would think that we surely would all agree with that.
Yeah, on that point, I agree with this as well, because they signed a legal document not that long ago with a clause in that they would they have the option of leaving after June this coming year, June 2015. And we must hold them to that. If they want to leave earlier, then they should pay the amount which is still outstanding. And we then need to make a decision on how we want to use that building.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think we all accept that. I think we should move on to perhaps the actual centre itself and what it can be used for. Now, we know what money we've been getting from it. We got an ideal situation. Somebody who was interested in it before, which is Liz Cool, who is very interested in taking over, taking up a lease. She has, it's not mentioned on here, but she also has mentioned the possibility of maybe willing to purchase it. There is somebody who is very, very interested. And my suggestion was that it would be that we investigate that situation. And I think it would be a good idea perhaps to have form a group, and I would suggest it's made up with the deputy chairman and myself and Richard to approach Liz and find out exactly what she's willing to do. And I think we need to move very, very quickly on that. Yeah.
I was interested in reading what she'd said about all the market research she'd done into nurseries in Oakham. I've got 2 small children in nursery, and there are a surplus of nursery places in Oakham at the moment. And I question the need for another one. I really do. When I know that the baby room and the toddler room at my daughter's nursery, they're half full. And the nursery fees around here are not inconsiderable, and what she's proposing to charge is exactly the same as everywhere else. So whilst I can see that it would be a good use for the building, I question whether there's a need. Personally, I much prefer the idea that we explore us moving into it. And if you look at we're paying the rent here, it's more than what we were getting from the centre in the first place.
Alf.
I'm in agreement with you. You need a small group to look at this. I think there's a number of options available here, which this small group ought to investigate and report back to a future meeting. I mean, the options are that the council uses it as a substitute for this building, or they lease it to somebody who is keen on doing it, or they sell it to somebody, or they knock it down. Now, there's a number of options which are available. And I think that we need to investigate this fairly quickly and come up with some proposals. And that really needs to be done very quickly, because we're obviously getting into the position of estimates, and we may need to put some money into estimates, for instance. I'm not obviously going to state which one I prefer at the moment, because we can get into quite a discussion on that. And I don't think this is the forum today to do that. We ought to wait for a report to come back and then have the discussion.
Joyce.
I think I got most of that. Can I ask the clerk, really? I remember this building when it was a row of toilets, right?
I do.
So I also remember the main room on the right, as you go in, as being a very long room. But I used to, many years ago, do line dancing there. I have used this building. The question I ask is, does the people who have the lease, do they restore it back to what it was? Or did they put the stud wall up, or whoever put the stud wall up? They should be restoring the building to how they took it. Now, the problem I have with the nursery school is we've got the Ark. We've got scallywags, and 2 doors up from me there is a childminder that takes in at least 2 Oakham school children, because I know them. I think this a nursery school will affect the area drastically. I don't think it's the best idea for the building.
Just can I intercept there, because
Yeah.
I think what we've agreed perhaps is not to discuss that tonight.
I'm just pointing out, Chairman, why I think that we shouldn't have a knee-jerk reaction. We've got to do it straight away. We've got to get on with this. That is not the way to do this, and it would be better if all the things were investigated not to a deadline.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I just think it's crazy the way we're going on.
I think the reason why we've suggested this investigation is that it's not a knee-jerk reaction. The investigation will look at all the aspects of it and whether and recommend some way forward. So that's not a knee-jerk reaction. That's not anything suddenly. What we've got to do though is do some work for the budget. We've got a budget to come up, so therefore we can't be too lax on this. We've got to get ahead with it. Also, we need to look at what the feasibility of using that building in a different way. So, you know, it's not something which is a knee-jerk reaction, I've just said it again. It's something which we need to do and need to do fairly swiftly, I think.
Just quickly, I know because Richard and I obviously met with the, is it Spurdles? Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. And discussed their potential moving. And we did make it very clear to them that we would be bringing this back to council and that the finances would need to be covered until that 3-year point. Whether that was via themselves or whether it was they were able to find somebody else to fulfil that gap, which they've not been able to do. So I do think they need to be held to that contract. Nobody's ever let me off a contract, so I don't see why they should.
It's a commercial contract.
So it's written quite clearly in their contract. Where we go with it next, and I think the point here is we can't make a decision now as to where it goes next. We need to be very clear about where we want to go. Whether, I mean, there are 3 options, isn't it? It's either sell it, find a new resident, or take it on ourselves. They're the 3. They're basically the 3 options. But that's not really what we're discussing here today, are we? We're not making that decision here. It's about how we manage their leeway, isn't it?
Chairman, can I just come back? Is there an answer to my question that they put the stud wall up and should it be restored to its...
It'll be part of the commercial contract. They'll have to put it
I
back to the
can't
ordinary.
answer that
No,
at the moment,
you see,
Joyce, without going through the list.
I think we need to know that because I'm sorry to hark back to the nursery school, but if they put in low toilets for the children, it should be in the contract that they restore the building again back to what it was. You see what I'm trying to get at? And I really do think that the leaseholders at the moment should restore the building to as it was when they took it over.
Joyce, we cannot make that judgment tonight because we don't know the terms of the lease.
No,
Have to
exactly.
look at the terms of the lease. That's going to be looked at. Right, so that's the answer to your question.
We've made a statement, Chairman. I don't need to speak. Thank you.
Adam.
The only thing I was going to say, because we cannot preempt what's going to happen in the future because we don't know what, how or who, but can we not just turn around and say for the benefit of next year's budget or for the planning of next year's budget that this particular asset of the council is given a 0 return? So in other words, we accept that we may not get any return from it next year. And that way, when it doesn't...
It's not strictly correct because
You're going to get it until June, aren't you?
there will be rent due from April, May and June.
Yes, but that's the given. But from June onwards, I believe you should budget the fact that you may not get a return from it.
Yeah.
And that gives you the flexibility of building your working group to identify what to do with it and not overstating the financial budgets for the council. You could potentially understate them, but I'd rather you understate than overstate.
Yeah.
Richard, can you come back on that?
Yeah.
He's made a note of it.
So we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, at the last council meeting, I mean, it was suggested that the budget for fitness centre should be reduced anyway.
Yeah.
So that process is ongoing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's just that way it seems to
We're
look
looking to
at
find what the lease for you, Joyce, on the
Sorry.
restatement of the building, so that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we ought to be cautious of the next leaseholder.
You're absolutely right. We'll cover that when
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
it happens. We don't want to discuss that tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep coming. We can incorporate that in the investigation of this
Yeah.
group on what the lease states and how the property needs to be left at the end of the term. So that can be looked at.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just in their favour, because I think they're getting a bit of a bad press here, because they have done quite well at the fitness centre and they've built up a reasonable business. And they have actually done some improvements themselves in terms of heating and installing heating within the place, which we haven't done. And they're leaving that, they're not obviously taking that route. So there is, you know, there is a bit of a bonus from it, yeah.
Right, okay,
That's the end of my words.
can I try and bring this to an end?
Yeah.
Are you happy with my suggestion of Alf, myself and Richard investigating the whole thing?
No, I think I would prefer Adam to be on that working party as well.
And that's why.
If you're having a working party to investigate anything.
Well, is the working group just, or the investigation, what group is it being called? Is this group just looking at and bringing things back to the council?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's only bringing things back to the council.
You know where I'm going.
I think you're being thorough. Unfortunately, I don't have time to be on the. I'm happy that with the two councillors and clerk, because they're only doing an investigation.
That's all we're doing.
And I would, one comment I'd like to, in actual fact, I don't want to be as hard on the Spurdles. In actual fact, I would have been softer on them than what we appear to be. And I know, I agree with everyone, it's a commercial contract, and how I ever run a successful business, I don't know. But at the end of the day, let's not remember we are a parish or a town council that have to have part of the community in our mindset. And I know that they've done well, probably on the back of us, but let's not penalise them unnecessarily. That's my only comment. Thank you, Chairman.
Right. Are you now all happy with?
Yes.
I'll make a proposal. That we set up work group as I proposed.
I second.
All in favour?
Abstain.
Thank you. Skate park. The one disappointment over skate park, as far as I'm concerned, and the suggestions that's been made, is that it's not going to be for advanced people. And that concerns me because I wanted to get my bike out there. I'm not going to be able to now.
Always good to stand.
Right, would anybody like to speak about the skate park? Have you all read the email that was sent out by Richard regarding skate park? In which case, yeah.
I seem to spend most of my life in the park these days, and I have actually spoken to quite a lot of the children that are on the park, and they are hugely enthusiastic about any renovation of it. You know, some of the more advanced skateboarders, I've already said, it's actually getting dangerous now. Yeah, and I mean, you often do see, particularly this time of the year, kids just sitting on it. But through the summer, I was at the park nearly every day, and it was in full use every single day. And the students from the school that I spoke to were absolutely ecstatic at the idea of getting something new. I really think we should go ahead with this. I think it would be a huge benefit to the park. It would make the park look tidier, looks more professional. They could get a lot. It's got more longevity to it, slightly less forgiving surface, but the kids really do love it. So.
I think we do know that because James mentioned that as well. Can I just mention what's written here, that it's a suggestion, a need for working group to look at all aspects, and the suggestion is the clerk and councillor Alan Waters, because Alan Waters obviously has got is involved with his brief, I think, with an RCC. It goes on to say, and maybe one other member. The group will also look at involving the police RCC, users of the facility, etc. Possibility of getting significant Section 106 funding from RCC for a brand new facility on an alternative site if the site can be found. However, there is still a need to have some earmarked funds for 2015-2016. Any comments?
I was only, because we've got a quote here from Flow Skate Park Construction.
Yes.
We're not basing this as the only,
No,
that's just an indicative idea on.
yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm meeting with Wren tomorrow. As with the Willow Crescent project, we'll need 3 quotations.
Cool.
Okay, so all we've done really is so you members have got an idea of what this is going to cost to renovate that facility. With that sort of rough design in concrete, obviously the constraints there of Coates Close are well known, that if English Heritage Art, then we've got to rethink the whole thing. So, as I say, it's something that obviously I've been involved with this right from day one, really, with all aspects of it. So I really do want to keep on with this. Alan's obviously very interested through his sort of youth portfolio or youth work at Rutland County Council. I don't think he needs anybody else. I really don't. I think Alan and I can do this. What Stan's also alluded to is what I sort of half mentioned in my report as well, is that there is this possibility that significant funds, I mean, we are talking a lot of money, could be made available to us through Section 106 for a brand new facility. If we can find a site, a suitable site. That is the challenge, finding a suitable site within the Oakham town boundary. Notwithstanding that, if that does happen eventually, the children, the young people of Oakham still need a facility in the town. We can't just tear this down and say, oh, in a couple of years' time we might have a brand new one. So we've got to move forward with this existing facility. And even if we get a brand new one, that one can still stay there. So what you've got there is indicative costs. As I say, I'm seeing Emma from Wren tomorrow, and asking that 7,500, which will be third-party funding and a possible contribution. You've got the figures there, based on the quotation from Flow, and an initial, again, that we can build into the budget, but there is an initial figure of 7,500 towards this project.
Stan, can I just... I've just been, I've been approached a couple of times actually by the local police in relation to this, and just in terms of the design, and it may be something you wish to take into consideration, Richard, if it is you and Alan looking at it. What they've spoke to me about is that facility is fantastic and that should remain, but if there is an opportunity for another facility elsewhere, and they didn't say where, obviously fashions change, don't they? And at one point it was, rollerblades, and then it's skateboards, and then it's bikes or whatever. But of course, people are getting more and more daring, aren't they? And this sort of like urban exercises that they do on bikes. What the police had expressed some concern about was because there was no facility suitable, that young people on their bikes were using the benches in the park, because that's what you do. You sort of jump up on the benches and jump off the other side, which obviously, we all do it, don't we? So they did ask me if we would consider, if we were in a position to have an additional facility, that it was perhaps something a little bit more urbanised with a view to the future developments of how the trend goes, if you like.
Yeah, thank you.
Just something to bear in mind if we.
I think that's a valued comment. I think surely we can wind this one up. I will.
Can I propose
Yes.
items 1 and 1? It should be 1 and 2. But I propose we accept those. So I propose that
I second.
we accept both those items.
Fine. Everyone in favour?
Yeah.
So the working group of Alan and myself to look at this, and we earmarked 7,500.
Yeah.
Proposed by Al, seconded by Jane. All those in favour, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, that's unanimous, thank you very much.
Could I just add, have you spoken to John Judge, the previous mayor of Stamford, who was behind the skate park there? I'll get your introduction. Because he raised the money for that particular park.
Yeah, I mean the issue, of course, with the Stamford is that they have to make a profit.
Yeah.
Correct.
One of the issues is if we can find a user.
Just quickly, I know because Richard and I obviously met with the, is it Spurdles?
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. And discussed their potential moving. And we did make it very clear to them that we would be bringing this back to council and that the finances would need to be covered until that 3-year point. Whether that was via themselves or whether it was they were able to find somebody else to fulfil that gap, which they've not been able to do. So I do think they need to be held to that contract. Nobody's ever let me off a contract, so I don't see why they should.
It's a commercial contract.
So it's written quite clearly in their contract. Where we go with it next, and I think the point here is we can't make a decision now as to where it goes next. We need to be very clear about where we want to go. Whether, I mean, there are 3 options, isn't it? It's either sell it, find a new resident, or take it on ourselves. They're the 3. They're basically the 3 options. But that's not really what we're discussing here today, are we? We're not making that decision here. It's about how we manage their leeway, isn't it?
Chairman, can I just come back? Is there an answer to my question that they put the stud wall up and should it be restored to its...
It'll be part of the commercial contract. They'll have to put it
I
back to the
can't
ordinary.
answer that
No,
at the moment,
you see,
Joyce, without going through the list.
I think we need to know that because I'm sorry to hark back to the nursery school, but if they put in low toilets for the children, it should be in the contract that they restore the building again back to what it was. You see what I'm trying to get at? And I really do think that the leaseholders at the moment should restore the building to as it was when they took it over.
Joyce, we cannot make that judgment
No.
tonight because
No.
we don't know the terms of the lease.
No,
We have to look
exactly.
at the terms of the lease. That's going to be looked at. Right, so that's the answer to your question.
We've made a statement, Chairman, I don't need to speak. Thank you.
Adam.
The only thing I was going to say, because we cannot preempt what's going to happen in the future, because we don't know what, how or who, but can we not just turn around and say for the benefit of next year's budget or for the planning of next year's budget that this particular asset of the council is given a 0 return? So in other words, we accept that we may not get any return from it next year. And that way, when it doesn't...
It's not strictly correct because
We're going to get it until June, aren't
there will be rent due from April, May and June.
Yes, but that's the given, but from June onwards, I believe that you should budget the fact that you may not get a return from it.
Yeah.
And that gives you the flexibility of building your working group to identify what to do with it and not overstating the financial budgets for the council. You could potentially understate them, but I'd rather you understate than overstate.
Yeah.
Richard. Can you come back on that?
He's made a note of it.
So we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, at the last council meeting, it was suggested that the budget for fitness centres should be reduced anyway.
Yeah.
So that process is ongoing.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It just that way it seems to
We're
look
looking to find
at
part of the lease for you, Joyce, on the
Sorry.
restatement of the building, so that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think we ought to be cautious of the next leaseholder.
You're absolutely right. We'll cover that when
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
happens. We don't want to discuss that tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep we can incorporate that in the investigation of this
Yeah.
group on what the lease states and how the property needs to be left at the end of the term. So that can be looked at.
I'm sorry to interrupt, just in their favour, because I think they're getting a bit of a bad press here, because they have done quite well at the fitness centre and they've built up a reasonable business. And they have actually done some improvements themselves in terms of heating and installing heating within the place, which we haven't done. And they're leaving that, they're not obviously taking that out. So there is, you know, there is a bit of a bonus from it, yeah.
Right, okay,
That's the end of my list.
can I try and bring this to an end?
Yeah.
Are you happy with my suggestion of Alf, myself and Richard investigating the whole thing?
No, I think I would prefer Adam to be on that working party as well.
And that's why.
If you're having a working party to investigate anything.
Well, is the working group just, or the investigation, what group is it being called? Is this group just looking at and bringing things back to the council?
Oh yes.
Yeah. It's only bringing things back to the council.
You know where I'm going.
I think you're being thorough. Unfortunately, I don't have time to be on the. I'm happy that with the two councillors and clerk, because they're only doing an investigation.
That's all we're doing.
And I would, one comment I'd like to, in actual fact, I don't want to be as hard on the Spurdles. In actual fact, I would have been softer on them than what we're being. And I know I agree with everyone, it's a commercial contract, and how I ever run a successful business, I don't know. But at the end of the day, let's not remember we are a parish or a town council that have to have the heart of the community in our mindset. And I know that they've done well, probably on the back of us, but let's not penalise them unnecessarily. That's my only comment. Thank you, Chairman.
Right. Are you now all happy with?
Yes.
I'll make a proposal that we set up work group as I proposed.
I second.
All in favour?
Abstain.
Thank you. Skate park. The one disappointment over skate park, as far as I'm concerned, and the suggestions that's been made, is that it's not going to be for advanced people. And that concerns me because I wanted to get my bike out again. I'm not going to be able to now.
Always give you stand for you.
Right, would anybody like to speak about the skate park? Have you all read the email that was sent out by Richard regarding skate park? In which
I seem to spend most of my life in the park these days, and I have actually spoken to quite a lot of the children that are on the park, and they are hugely enthusiastic about any renovation of it. You know, some of the more advanced skateboarders have already said it's actually getting dangerous now. Yeah, and I mean, you often do see, particularly this time of the year, kids just sitting on it. But through the summer, I was at the park nearly every day, and it was in full use every single day. And the students from the school that I spoke to were absolutely ecstatic at the idea of getting something new. I really think we should go ahead with this. I think it would be a huge benefit for the park. It would make the park look tidier, it looks more professional. They could get a lot, it's got more longevity to it, slightly less forgiving service, but the kids really do love it. So.
I think we do know that because James mentioned that as well. Can I just mention what's with me here, that it's a suggestion, a need for working group to look at all aspects, and the suggestion is the clerk and councillor Alan Waters, because Alan Waters obviously has got is involved with his brief, I think, with RCC. It goes on to say, and maybe one other member. The group will also look at involving the police, RCC, users of the facility, etc. Possibility of getting significant Section 106 funding from RCC for a brand new facility on an alternative site, if the site can be found. However, there is still a need to have some earmarked funds for 2015-2016. Any comments?
I was only, because we've got a quote here from Flow Skate Park Construction.
Yes.
We're not basing this as the only,
No,
that's just an indicative idea on.
yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm meeting with Wren tomorrow, as with the Willow Crescent project, we'll need three quotations.
Cool.
Okay, so all we've done really is so you members have got an idea of what this is going to cost to renovate that facility. With that sort of rough design in concrete, obviously the constraints there of Cuts Close are well known, that if English Heritage are happy, then we've got to rethink the whole thing. So, as I say, it's something that obviously I've been involved with this right from day one, really, with all aspects of it, so I really do want to keep on with this. Alan's obviously very interested through his sort of youth portfolio or youth work at Rutland County Council. I don't think he needs anybody else. I really don't. I think Alan and I can do this. What Stan's also alluded to is what I sort of half mentioned in my report as well, is that there is this possibility that significant funds, and we are talking a lot of money, could be made available to us through Section 106 for a brand new facility. If we can find a site, a suitable site. That is the challenge, finding a suitable site within the Oakham town boundary. Notwithstanding that, if that does happen eventually, the children, the young people of Oakham still need a facility in the town. We can't just tear this down and say, oh, in a couple of years' time you might have a brand new one. So we've got to move forward with this existing facility. And even if we get a brand new one, that one can still stay there. So what you've got there is indicative costs. As I say, I'm seeing Emma from Wren tomorrow, and asking that 7,500, which will be third-party funding and a possible contribution. You've got the figures there, based on the quotation from Flow, and an initial, again, that we can build into the budget, that there is an initial figure of 7,500 towards this project.
Stan, can I just... I've just been, I've been approached a couple of times actually by the local police in relation to this, and just in terms of the design, and it may be something you wish to take into consideration, Richard, if it is you and Alan looking at it. What they've spoke to me about is that facility is fantastic and that should remain, but if there is an opportunity for another facility elsewhere, and they didn't say where, obviously fashions change, don't they? And at one point it was, rollerblades, and then it's skateboards, and then it's bikes or whatever. But of course, people are getting more and more daring, aren't they? And this sort of like urban exercises that they do on bikes. What the police had expressed some concern about was because there was no facility suitable, that young people on their bikes were using the benches in the park, because that's what you do. You sort of jump up on the benches and jump off the other side, which obviously, we all do it, don't we? So they did ask me if we would consider, if we were in a position to have an additional facility, that it was perhaps something a little bit more urbanised with a view to the future developments of how the trend goes, if you like.
Yeah, thank you.
Just something to bear in mind if we.
I think that's a valued comment. I think surely we can wind this one up. I will.
Can I propose?
Yes.
Items 1 and 1. It should be 1 and 2. But I propose we accept those.
So
I propose that
I second.
we accept both of those items.
fine. Everybody in favour?
Yeah.
So the working group of Alan and myself to look at this, and we earmark 7,500.
Yeah.
Proposed by Al, seconded by Jane. All those in favour? Sorry. I didn't see that. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Could I just add, have you spoken to John Judge, the previous mayor of Stamford, who was behind their skate park there? I I'll get your introduction. Because he raised the money for that particular part.
Yeah, I mean the issue, of course, with the Stanford is that they have to make a budget.
Yeah.
Correct.
One of the issues is if we can't find a new
Do we have to ask permission of the trustees?
I'm not going into that, I don't know.
I mean, it's not our building, and
No.
I'm not quite sure how we go on with that bit.
I can't imagine it's a major problem.
Oh, no,
We may have to ask, I don't know whether
Curtis.
Mark knows that.
Yeah.
I think the Kurt's really need
Yes.
to do that anyway. And it may mean a little bit of redecoration over the area which we're taking on one from.
Yes,
But it would give a much better view of people at the door if we recite that camera. And also, provide a recording.
It would be recording, it would be in the trustee's best interest.
sorry.
I would have thought it would be in the trustee's best interest. The two cameras that currently point that way and that way in the gallery. There is, there is no system to record people coming in through the front entrance.
Yeah.
Whereas, so I wouldn't have thought the trustees would have a problem, but of course we'll ask.
Well, exactly,
Good.
I'm just pointing out the courtesy.
Any other questions?
I propose we accept this.
I second.
All in favour?
For the cost and everything.
Both.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. The meeting is now closed at 8:32.
Thank you.